They say your family is supposed to protect you. They say home is where you're safe. But what happens when the people who should love you the most become the ones who destroy you? My name is Elena, and I was 14 years old the night my father threw me out into a blizzard. Not because I did something wrong, but because my brother lied. And my father believed him without question. It was December 23rd. I remember because we were supposed to put up the Christmas tree that weekend. The snow had been falling for hours, piling up against our windows like nature itself was trying to warn me. The wind howled so loud you could barely hear yourself think. I was in my room doing homework when I heard my father's truck pull into the driveway. The engine cut off, and I heard the familiar sound of his boots on the porch. But something felt different. The air felt heavy. Wrong. My brother Marcus came home first. He was 17, 3 years older than me, and he'd always resented me. I never understood why. Maybe because I got better grades. Maybe because Mom used to say I had her eyes before she passed away. Whatever the reason, Marcus hated me. And that night, he decided to use that hate as a weapon. I heard them talking downstairs. My father's voice was calm at first, asking Marcus about his day. Then I heard my name. Elena. The way my father said it made my stomach drop. There was anger in his voice, suspicion, disappointment. I crept to the top of the stairs, my heart pounding. That's when I heard Marcus say the words that would change everything. Dad, I need to tell you something. Elena stole money from your wallet. A lot of money. I saw her going through your stuff yesterday. My blood ran cold. That was a complete lie. I had never stolen anything in my life. My father worked construction, and every dollar mattered to us. I would never, ever take from him. But before I could even process what I'd heard, my father's voice exploded through the house. Elena, get down here right now. I ran downstairs, my legs shaking. My father stood in the living room, his face red with rage. Marcus stood behind him with this look on his face. Not guilt, not fear. Satisfaction, like he was enjoying every second of this. Dad, I didn't. Don't you dare lie to me. He grabbed my arm so hard I felt his fingers dig into my skin. Where's my money? Where is it? I don't have it. I didn't take anything. Dad, please, Marcus is lying. $200, Elena. $200 is missing from my wallet and your brother saw you. I looked at Marcus, pleading with my eyes. Tell him the truth, please. You know I didn't do this. But Marcus just shook his head slowly, his voice dripping with fake concern. Elena, why are you doing this? Just give it back. Just admit what you did. My father's grip tightened. I work every single day to keep a roof over your head and food on this table, and this is how you repay me? By stealing from me? I didn't steal anything, I screamed, tears streaming down my face. Dad, please, you have to believe me. That's when he hit me. His hand came across my face so hard I fell to the floor. The room spun. My cheek burned. I tasted blood in my mouth. I'd never seen my father like this. Never. Even when Mom died 2 years earlier, even in his grief, he'd never raised a hand to me. But now, as I looked up at him from the floor, I didn't recognize the man standing over me. Get out. What? I said, get out of my house. I don't want a thief under my roof. Dad, it's a blizzard outside. Please. He grabbed me by my shirt and dragged me to the front door. I was screaming, crying, begging him to listen. But he wasn't hearing me. He'd already made up his mind. Marcus's word was law, and mine meant nothing. The door opened, and the freezing wind hit me like a wall. Snow whipped into the house. The temperature had to be below 0. Dad, please. I'll freeze out there. Should have thought about that before you became a thief. And then he threw me. Literally threw me out into the snow. I landed hard on the icy porch, my hands scraping against the frozen wood. I turned back, reaching for the door, but it slammed in my face. I pounded on it, screaming until my voice went raw. Dad, please, Marcus is lying. Please, let me in. Through the window, I could see Marcus standing behind my father. And you know what that monster did? He smiled. Not just any smile. A victory smile. Like this was exactly what he wanted. The cold hit me fast. I was wearing jeans and a thin sweater. No coat, no boots, just socks that were already soaking through with snow. I had nowhere to go. No phone, no money, nothing. I tried the neighbors, but nobody answered. Either they couldn't hear me over the storm, or they didn't want to get involved. I was alone, completely and utterly alone. So I did the only thing I could. I started walking. I don't remember much about that walk, just the cold. the unbearable, bone-deep cold that made every step feel like knives cutting into my feet. The wind was so strong it pushed me sideways. Snow stuck to my eyelashes, making it hard to see. My hands had gone numb within minutes. I kept thinking, this is how I die. 14 years old, and I'm going to freeze to death because my brother lied and my father believed him. I must have walked for 20 minutes, maybe 30. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. My vision was getting blurry. I remember falling once, maybe twice. The third time I fell, I didn't think I could get back up. That's when I saw the lights. A small diner on the edge of town. The neon sign said Rosie's 24/7 Diner and it glowed like heaven itself. I used every ounce of strength I had left to drag myself to that door. The warmth hit me the second I stumbled inside. There were only a few people there. A tired-looking waitress, an old man at the counter, a woman in a booth reading a newspaper. They all turned to stare at me. I must have looked terrifying. A teenage girl, soaking wet, shaking violently, blood on my lip from where my father had hit me. The waitress, her name tag said Rosie, rushed over immediately. "Oh my God, sweetheart, what happened to you?" I tried to speak, but my teeth were chattering so hard I couldn't form words. She wrapped her arms around me and guided me to a booth near the heater. "Someone get her a blanket, and hot chocolate. Now." The woman from the other booth brought over her own coat and wrapped it around me. The old man brought hot towels. Rosie knelt in front of me, her face full of concern. "Honey, who did this to you? Where are your parents?" And that's when I broke. I told her everything. About Marcus's lie, about my father throwing me out, about the blizzard, about how nobody believed me. I sobbed so hard I could barely breathe. Rosie's face went from concerned to furious. "That man threw you out in this weather? A child? We need to call the police right now." "No!" I grabbed her arm. "Please don't. He'll just deny it. And Marcus will back him up. Nobody will believe me." "Sweetheart, you could have died out there." "I know, but calling the police will just make it worse. Please." Rosie looked at me for a long moment, then sighed. "Okay. But you're not going anywhere tonight. You'll stay with me." That night changed my life. Not because of what my father did to me, but because of what Rosie did for me. She took me to her small apartment above the diner, gave me warm clothes, a hot meal, and the first safe place I'd had since my mother died. She didn't pry. She didn't judge. She just cared. Over the next few days, I learned that Rosie had lost her own daughter years ago. A car accident. She was 17. Rosie told me that helping me felt like getting a second chance, a chance to be there for a kid who needed someone. "You remind me of her," Rosie said one night. "Stubborn, smart, stronger than you realize." I stayed with Rosie for 3 days. She called my school and told them I had the flu. She bought me new clothes with her own money. She even tried to call my father to talk sense into him, but he hung up on her. During those 3 days, I made a decision. I wasn't going back to that house. Not ever. But I also wasn't going to let Marcus get away with what he did, and I wasn't going to let my father forget that he threw his own daughter out to die. I was 14, but I wasn't helpless. Not anymore. Rosie helped me come up with a plan. First, I needed proof that Marcus was lying. Second, I needed to become independent so I'd never have to depend on my father again. And third, I needed to make sure that when the truth came out, everyone would know exactly what kind of person my brother really was. It took time. Years, actually. But I want you to understand something. Revenge isn't always immediate. Sometimes, the best revenge is patience, preparation, and making sure that when you strike back, it changes everything. So I enrolled back in school. I got a part-time job at the diner. Rosie became like a mother to me, and her home became mine. And every single day, I worked toward one goal, proving my innocence and exposing Marcus for the liar he was. What I didn't know then was that karma was already working in my favor, and Marcus's lies were about to catch up with him in ways neither of us could have imagined. 4 years passed. 4 years of working, studying, and quietly gathering information. I was 18 now, about to graduate high school with honors. Rosie had officially become my legal guardian after my father never bothered to look for me. Not once. Not a single phone call. Not a single attempt to see if I was even alive. That should have hurt more than it did. But honestly, I was relieved. I didn't need him anymore. But I did need answers. And I needed justice. Here's what I learned during those 4 years. Marcus hadn't just lied about me once. He'd been lying his entire life. About everything. To everyone. I started by reconnecting with old neighbors and family friends on social media. People who knew our family. I didn't reveal who I was at first. I just asked questions. Listened. Observed. That's when I discovered something shocking. Marcus had told people I ran away, that I stole from Dad and disappeared in the middle of the night. He'd painted himself as the concerned brother who tried to stop me. The community believed him. My father believed him. I was the villain in a story I didn't even get to tell. But then I found something even more interesting. Marcus had a pattern. He'd stolen before, from friends, from girlfriends, from previous employers. He'd just never been caught because he was good at blaming other people. I reached out to one of his ex-girlfriends, Jessica. She was hesitant at first, but when I told her my story, she broke down crying. He did the same thing to me, she said over video chat. He stole $300 from my purse and told my roommate I was lying about it. He made me look crazy. I lost friends over it. Do you have any proof? I asked. No, that's the problem. He's too smart. He never leaves evidence. But that wasn't true. Because I'd found something. Something Marcus didn't know existed. The night he accused me of stealing, our house had a security camera pointed at the driveway. My father had installed it a month earlier after someone broke into a neighbor's car. The footage was stored on an old hard drive in the garage. I waited until my father went to work one day. I knew his schedule. I knew Marcus would be at his part-time job at the auto shop. The house would be empty. Rosie drove me there. My hands were shaking as I used the spare key I'd never returned. The house looked the same, smelled the same, but it didn't feel like home. It felt like a crime scene. I found the hard drive in the garage, covered in dust. I took it and left without touching anything else. I wasn't there to steal. I was there to find the truth. Back at Rosie's place, we plugged in the hard drive. It took hours to sort through the footage. But then I found it. December 23rd, the day before the incident. The timestamp read 2:47 p.m. And there he was. Marcus. Walking out of the house, looking around nervously, and pulling something out of his jacket. Money. A stack of bills. He counted them quickly, shoved them back in his pocket, and got into his car. He stole the money. Not me. Him. I watched that footage 10 times, tears streaming down my face. Not because I was sad, because I was furious. This whole time I'd been called a thief. I'd been thrown out. I'd almost died. And he knew. He knew it was him, and he let me suffer anyway. But video evidence alone wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed a confession. So I set a trap. I created a fake social media account and befriended Marcus. It took weeks, but eventually, he started trusting this new friend who seemed to admire him. I played the part perfectly, asked him about his life, his past, his family. One night, I asked him about me, about his missing sister. His response made my stomach turn. Honestly, good riddance. She was always causing problems. Stealing, lying. My dad's better off without her. I pushed further. Did you ever wonder where she went? Don't care. She made her choice. That's when I knew. He didn't feel guilty. Not even a little bit. He'd destroyed my life and slept perfectly fine at night. But I also got something even better. During one of our conversations, Marcus bragged about teaching someone a lesson by framing them for something they didn't do. He didn't say my name specifically, but the details matched perfectly. He was proud of it. He thought it was clever. I had everything I needed. Video evidence. A pattern of behavior. And his own words. Now came the hard part. Deciding how to use it. I wanted to go to the police immediately. But Rosie stopped me. If you go to them now, they'll say it's too late, she explained. It's been 4 years. The statute of limitations on theft might have passed. And your father throwing you out? He could claim you left on your own. Marcus could deny everything. So what do? You go to them, face to face. You show them what you found, and you make them admit the truth. The thought terrified me. I hadn't seen my father or Marcus in 4 years. But Rosie was right. They needed to see me. They needed to know that I survived. And they needed to know that the truth was coming out whether they liked it or not. So I arranged a meeting. I sent my father a message from my real account. Simple and direct. Dad, it's Elena. I need to talk to you. Please, it's important. He responded an hour later. Where have you been? Not, are you okay? Not, I'm sorry. Just, where have you been? Like I was the one who owed him an explanation. I'll explain everything. Can we meet? Tomorrow? At the house? He agreed. I didn't tell him I was bringing evidence. I didn't tell him I knew the truth. I just told him I wanted to talk. The next day, Rosie drove me to the house. She waited in the car while I walked up to the front door. the same door I'd been thrown out of 4 years ago. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to knock. My father opened the door. He looked older, grayer, tired. When he saw me, his expression didn't change much. Just a slight nod. "Elena, Dad." He stepped aside, and I walked in. Marcus was sitting on the couch, and when he saw me, his face went pale. For a split second, I saw fear in his eyes, but then he covered it with fake surprise. "Elena? Oh my God, where have you been? We were so worried." Liar. I didn't sit down. I stood in the middle of the living room and pulled out my phone. "I'm going to show you both something," I said, my voice steady. "And after you see it, we're going to have a very honest conversation." I played the video. The security footage of Marcus stealing the money. The audio of him bragging about framing me. The messages from Jessica and 2 other people he'd stolen from. The room was silent except for the video playing. My father's face went from confused to shocked to horrified. Marcus sat frozen, his mouth slightly open, his hands gripping the couch. When the video ended, I looked at my father. "You threw me out into a blizzard. I was 14. I almost died. And the whole time, he was the thief. Not me. Him." My father's voice was barely a whisper. "Elena, you believed him without question. You didn't even let me explain. You hit me and you threw me out like I was garbage. I didn't know. You didn't ask." My voice broke. "You didn't ask because you didn't care. You wanted to believe him because it was easier." I turned to Marcus, who still hadn't said a word. "Do you have anything to say? Any excuse? Any explanation?" He looked at me with pure hatred. "You're really going to ruin my life over this? Ruin your life?" I laughed bitterly. "You ruined mine. You got me thrown out of my home. You almost killed me. It was a joke that went too far, okay? I didn't think he'd actually—" "Shut up." My father's voice cut through the room like a knife. He stood up and walked toward Marcus. "You let me believe she stole from me. For 4 years. You let me think my daughter was a thief and a runaway. For 4 years. Dad, I said, "Shut up." My father turned to me, and for the first time, I saw tears in his eyes. "Elena, I don't know how to fix this." "You can't fix it?" I said quietly. "What's done is done. But you can do one thing. You can tell the truth. To everyone. To the family. To the neighbors. To anyone who believed Marcus's lies. You can tell them what really happened." He nodded slowly. "I will." I looked at Marcus one last time. "And you're going to therapy. And you're going to make amends to everyone you've hurt. Every single person. Or I'm taking this video to the police and pressing charges." Marcus's face turned red. "You can't." "I can. And I will. Your choice." I didn't wait for his answer. I turned and walked out of that house for the final time. This time, I walked out on my own terms. With my head held high. With the truth on my side. Rosie was waiting in the car. She looked at me, searching my face. "How do you feel?" I took a deep breath. Free. That confrontation was 3 years ago. I'm 21 now. A lot has changed. My father did keep his promise. He told everyone the truth. Some people apologized to me. Some didn't. Honestly, I stopped caring what they thought a long time ago. Marcus went to therapy. Whether it actually helped him or not, I don't know. We don't speak. I heard through mutual connections that he moved to another state and started over. Part of me hopes he actually learned something, but part of me doesn't care either way. As for my relationship with my father, it's complicated. He tried to apologize. Many times. Sent letters. Called. Asked to meet. I agreed to see him once, about a year after the confrontation. He looked broken. He told me he thought about that night every single day. That he'd never forgive himself for what he did. That he understood if I never wanted to see him again. I told him the truth. That I didn't know if I could ever fully forgive him. But that I appreciated him finally believing me. We meet for coffee sometimes now. It's awkward. Careful. But it's something. I graduated college early. Got a degree in social work. Because after everything I went through, I wanted to help other kids who felt alone. Who felt unheard. Who needed someone to believe them. Rosie is still my person. She walked me down the aisle when I got married last year. She's the grandmother to my future children. She saved my life in every way a person can be saved. Looking back, I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd died that night. If the cold had taken me before I found Rosie's diner, would anyone have cared? Would Marcus have felt guilty? Would my father have realized his mistake? I'll never know. But here's what I do know. That night didn't break me. It changed me. It showed me that I was stronger than I ever thought possible, that I could survive the worst betrayal and still build a beautiful life. Some people ask me if I regret exposing Marcus. If I think I went too far, my answer is always the same. No, because the truth matters. Lies destroy families. They destroy lives. And silence protects the wrong people. If I could go back and tell my 14-year-old self anything, it would be this. You will survive. The people who are supposed to love you will fail you, but you will find new people who won't. The betrayal will hurt, but it won't define you. And one day, you'll realize that walking through that blizzard was the first step toward freedom. So to anyone watching this who's ever been blamed for something they didn't do, who's ever been betrayed by family, who's ever felt completely alone, I see you. I believe you. And I promise you, there is life on the other side of that pain. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else. Sometimes it's about rebuilding yourself, about proving that you're more than what they said you were, about living a life so full and so beautiful that their lies can't touch you anymore. That's the revenge that matters most. My name is Elena. I was thrown out into a blizzard at 14 by a father who believed lies over his own daughter. And I survived. I survived, I thrived, and I found my own family, and that's the greatest revenge of all.